every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let I rejoicing rise high as a listening skies. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Let I rejoice and rise. God of all wearies, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in Thy path. That's what we are gonna pray.
Good evening, welcome this evening to another pleasant evening. This is What's on Your Mind. Welcome back, and with the song, Let Us Rejoice. It's such a beautiful evening and a beautiful week, and we must remember why we're here tonight is to celebrate and honor. But before we go into the show, I'm just going to turn it over to no other than the man himself.
Brother Malachi, that's me. And you know what? Thank you very much for that very beautiful opening. And as you heard the National Black Anthem. Tonight we are honoring our veterans and everything else. So, First Lady of What's on Your Mind, Miss Francis, take us forward, or more or less give us more detail on what we're going to be talking about tonight. And we're live.
Well, absolutely, Malachi. Tonight we know is Veterans Day. And for some apparent reason, I just can't get over the way we started the song. It was just so touching, and there was a meaning behind everything we do here on What's on Your Mind. And today, because we know it's Veterans Day, we have to salute and honor our veterans and those who fought for this great country. I know Malachi and I, along with no other than the man himself next to me,
Brother Fatim Muhammad, and I'm glad to be here this evening. And I was touched. That opening song, it touched me. It made me just reflect back. I'm not a veteran, but I salute those brothers and sisters who fought. And when I say brothers and sisters, I mean males and females that has fought for our country. And some died for our country so we could have freedom. Of course, we have issues. In any other country, we have those issues. But tonight, we take a moment to have a discussion about veterans. We'll get a chance to speak with a veteran, and hopefully you will call in, and hopefully some veterans will call in. And I must say to you, Avril and Brother Malachi, I was on my way here, and a brother was coming down the stairs in crutches, and he had on his jacket and his fatigues and boots, and I had to go up and salute this brother just to say thank you.
Okay. Well, for what it's worth, like I said, this is What's on Your Mind, the power and the movement known as What's on Your Mind. Also on this, we want to welcome a veteran from, the days of old, Mr. Larry Henriksen, who will also give his spin and take on the issue. Because, see, I do have a different take on this issue of honoring our veterans. See, veterans to me, when we say honoring our veterans, Brother Fatim and Sister Avril, I'm going to talk about the Tuskegee Airmen. You hardly ever hear anything about them. Men who flew over 210 missions, in World War II, never lost a plane. You want to talk about veterans? I'm going to talk about veterans like Nat Turner. See, my take on Veterans Day is a whole different spin. I'm talking about Nat Turner. I'm talking about veterans like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I'm talking about women like Sojourner Truth, Angela Davis. When you talk about Veterans Day, I am going to honor the veterans. Okay, but veterans who fought for the freedom that we supposed to have in this country that we don't still enjoy to this day. Now, like I said, my take on this issue is wholly different, but I will not disregard the brothers and sisters who fought in the various armed forces in this country. However, they don't enjoy the privileges that they're supposed to be getting at this time, but I do honor them for what the idealist countries that they were fighting for. I honor the ideal, but not the practicality of what we see today.
You seems to be on a roll tonight, Malachi. You're on a roll, and you sound a little like you honor today, you respect the day, but for some reason I'm just feeling a little tension from you, and I want to know. I mean, I know, Fatima, are you feeling what I'm feeling?
I'm definitely feeling that tension, so I can cut it with a knife.
Yeah, I just want to know. It's got to be something about Veterans Day that we don't know that Malachi can tell us, and I want to hear from Malachi exactly what it is, Malachi, because I heard you. I could hear it coming from your soul, speaking to me about our veterans.
Well, I'm going to say this here. Well, I'm talking about just the sheer hypocrisy of talking about honoring our veterans when this country that they fought for doesn't honor the veterans. Okay?
And when you say, wait. When you say they do not honor the veterans, now bring us back, because remember we have our viewers and
all right, that's
and we
fair.
here, we just want to understand exactly what you're talking about when you say they don't honor the veterans, because I look at all the parades and I know the parade is not everything. But I'm just saying, when you say they do not honor the veterans, break it down to us, man.
I'll break it down. When you have veterans coming from this debacle of a war that we just fought over here in Iraq, many of them are homeless. They're mentally destroyed. Can't find employment. And like all the veterans from Vietnam and other previous wars, the overall majority of them can't even get the help they need from the Veterans Administration. So we're going to talk about honoring our veterans. See, we honor the ideal of fighting for freedom, but it's kind of hard to go on talking about you fought for freedom in another country and you don't enjoy the freedom here in this country itself that you fought for. See, I can't sit up here and have blinders and say I can't see that. And Mr. Henderson, we want to get your take on this issue as we progress further here on What's on Your Mind.
Well, Brother Malachi, being a veteran, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the panel. And when you took it to the point of honoring Martin, Malcolm, and gentlemen like that, you've taken me to another whole new realm of what a veteran really is. And when you can think about it, I find that here in America, considering the atmosphere we're living in today, when you have people talking about we have to take our country back because we have a black president, that says a whole lot about how people here in America feel about black people still to this day. And I'm I have kind of mixed feelings about blacks being involved in the war, fighting the war, because we're a very patriotic people. And we will die for this country, and we have died for this country, and we're still continually dying for this country in and out of the war. We have people dying in this city every day by the hands of the police and people like that. But where you took it was very enlightening, and I just don't think that we get the honor that's due us being blacks, because when you go back and think about how the Vietnam War ended and how those gentlemen came back, how we came back rather from Vietnam, and the disrespect that was laid upon us, people spitting on us, calling us all kind of names and whatnot.
Well, let's rewind that, Larry,
Okay.
to jump in here. What war were you in?
The Vietnam War.
Okay, now when you, were you drafted or did you sign up?
I signed up.
Okay, so when you was over there in Vietnam, how was the morale?
The morale was very high. A lot of blacks, most of the gentlemen over there believed in what they were doing over there. But when you really thought about it, what were we doing over there? Were we really fighting for the freedom of the people, or were we just fighting to line somebody else's pockets, like with this war in Iraq and Iran? Because this has nothing to do with freedom. That war that they're fighting now has nothing to do with freedom. It's all about lining people's pockets. Halliburton, Cheney, people like that, those are the ones that are benefiting from these kind of wars today. And you have a lot of people, especially women, dying now in these wars.
Right.
And that's fantastic to see that women are being killed, maimed, dying for a war that we shouldn't even be involved in.
Let me ask you this, Larry, and I'm going to pass it on to my host. When you came back from the war, how did you feel? Did you come back feeling that? Did you come back with pride? Did you feel that America should honor you? Did you think you would come back and go through some of the things that you just explained?
Well,
some
first of
hardships?
all, I was glad just to be back. And after getting back here, not being able to find a job, now I was a qualified aircraft mechanic. I worked on the B-52s that they used to drop bombs over there. I worked on the KC-135s, refueling airplane to refuel the B-52s. But because I didn't have a degree, I had the skills, but I didn't have a degree, I couldn't get a job at the local airport, Kennedy or LaGuardia. So they wanted me to go to college. Well, I could have went to college, but at that particular time I had a family. I needed a job right away. And I think if I had been another color, maybe I could have gotten that job without having to worry about the degree, and they would have trained me on the job. But being that I didn't have that, I was forced to go elsewhere and look for employment. And I felt like I served 4 years. I got this mechanical skills and whatnot, and I can't even use it. And I didn't feel good about it. I wouldn't even wear my uniform after I got out of service. Now, I have not seen that uniform since I got out.
Well, you know what, Larry, listening to you, it's very touching, and it's moving to us who never served in the war. I have a brother myself who's been there over 20 years and loving it. And some may say, well, I enjoy what I'm doing and I love what I'm doing, and it paved the way for me and it helped me. And at one time, I thought the war kept many children out of trouble.
Right. Okay.
Some parents send their children off to let me not say the war, but yeah, join the army, because it gives you some sort of, manship, and help you to grow up and help you to get your education. And a lot of people can say today it's because of the army they was educated. Are you saying today the war now is not necessary? Some people say it's not necessary, but I want to hear from Malachi, who started this show, and he was a little upbeat. And
Okay.
Malachi, do you think the war is necessary, or you think that we should done away with it?
Okay, first of all, the only time you ever go to war, we're supposed to go to war. You fight over the defense of your resources and whatever is yours, okay? And when all avenues to reasoning have been broken down and someone want to come and try and take what's yours, that's when you go to war. But when
Exactly.
you try to go into someone else's country and you want to gangster their resources and take what's theirs, that's
what this
illegal.
war's about.
These are illegal wars, okay? So that's why when we talk about Veterans Day, I think it's an absolute abysmal joke to hear this administration speak about Veterans Day when we know that this whole Iraq war, WMD, words of mass deception, took place. There was never any weapons found. You had hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians killed. Then you had thousands of American soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice by what? A bunch of draft-dodging cowards like Dick Cheney, like George W. Bush, sending your children off to war. Now, I have a problem with that.
So you're not saying, right now, you're saying to me that the war was not necessary, because you're saying that we fought and nothing we fought for was for us?
Exactly, because you know
Exactly.
why? First of all, Saddam Hussein, if you know anything about Iraq, was never an arms dealer.
right.
Never has been. So when you talk about, and when you had Hans Blix, who was the UN, the German United Nations weapons ambassador, do a full search where Colin Powell proclaimed the weapons were, he went everywhere they said they were and found nothing, and they still disregarded what he said, and we have been paying the price. We, the
Ever since.
American people, if you will, have been paying that price. Jobless. Why do you think all these jobs are gone? Because in order to wars cost money. So you sacrifice jobs here. We taxes are being raised up the wazoo, but yet here we are in a steak and lobster economy making frank and bean wages, and criminals have ran roughshod over here in Wall Street, sending our children off to die in wars that we didn't start.
But Brother Malachi, you mentioned a couple of things here that it makes me say, wait a minute. I thought when I was in school and I studied history, their history, his story, but that's another story. They basically said that by going to war, it helped your economy. It created jobs. But you also, but you also said about this was a let's say, illegal war, but I thought there was checks and balances between nations. What's the purpose of the United Nations and these other nations that let the United States run around like a rude nation? Are they scared of the United States?
No, here's why. See, America by nature is a sovereign country. You have to read the fine print when it comes down to the entire schematic of the United Nations. America is a sovereign country, and it agreed to join the other nations at the time to sit down and reason out and faction out. But see, what we have here are people who are in government, in rulership, who decide to use that sovereign card, if you will, to call it. And then here you had, here we have Afghanistan, here we have Iraq, and we're in 3 other wars that we don't know anything about, but yet this whole thing is about what? Money. So when we talk about, I do say valor and honor, and I'm for the honoring of veterans, but let's make it clear that we are giving a more legitimate honoring as opposed to the very country where we all have been programmed thinking we fighting for freedom and ideals that don't exist, brother.
Well,
That's
I want to
my
just step.
argument.
I just want to step in here because I know in the past, this is Avril. She's basically bringing us back in focus. And Brother Malachi, I do respect what you're saying. I really do respect what you're saying. But tonight, I think we should stay on focus. And
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with this kind of conversation because I'm with it. But let's talk about those men and women that have served for this country, and they went out there. They served with honor. Like you said, some didn't come back. And let's talk about Veterans Day with our listening audience and our veteran that's on part of our panel.
Okay,
Avril?
fine.
Well, I'm just listening to Malachi, and I'm getting some, what should I say, education and knowledge, and you know, everyday wisdom and everything. We grow, and as we grow, we learn. And Malachi, I respect you strongly for your belief and your feeling and your concern, because I'm sure if we was to ask many people out there this question, they probably would agree with you. And I'm hearing everyone tonight, but I'm just dying to hear one answer. Do we as a panel believe that the war or the joining the army, going to war, have helped many of us? Or don't you think there's many men and women out there that could say, you know, because of me serving in the war, it have helped me to pave the way for my children, for my family, and make a better life? There's a lot of men, life was saved and is not behind prison walls tonight because of joining the army. So I'm asking, do you believe that it was necessary at some point? I think there was a time that we feel that it was not necessary because we was so disturbed and frustrated over all these people's lives that are coming back home that is lost. So, but in the beginning, I know when I was growing up, when I was a little younger, you know, you're just so excited to join the army. Now, I'm still young, Malachi, but you know, I'm still young, Malachi. Okay, don't give me the old age yet. But, you know, I mean, he don't want to put the AARP on me, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people coming up in my days in education used to want to join the army. I'm going into the army because they want a better life.
Yes.
And they want to go and
That's true.
and thing. And I know the number is out there, and maybe we need to, you know, we've been talking among
Open up
ourselves.
the
What you
phone
say,
line.
Malachi?
Well, at this time, we are going to open up the phone lines, and you know we're live for you. Yours, the phone number is 718-960. 7150, that's 718-960, sorry, 7150. But I would like to answer that question if you don't mind.
Answer me.
Well, first of all, see, when we look at it from a statistical standpoint, only 3 to 4% of many veterans do get the overall benefits, including our white counterparts. Even they are getting, they get the overall shaft, if you will, from the society, and they're the ones making the most noise. I sit here as a Navy veteran and everything, and I'm gonna tell you, the VA and all these other organs, they give you such a hard time. And when you go fight for what's yours, they'll ship your case to someplace else where you don't live. And it's very difficult to fight a case like that. But let me remind you that this whole issue of volunteering to join the military came courtesy of none other than old Ronald Wilson Reagan. He did so much slashing and cutting of social spending that the only avenue left was joining the military.
military.
Okay?
Oh my goodness, I so strongly agree with you, and I just love when you're in the heat. That heat keep me flowing.
Okay.
But you know, in the
get
phone
burned.
line,
That's
you gave up the number, and we know the phone lines are ringing. So maybe you should just see if who's gonna help me tonight.
Okay,
Well, let's go to
we have
line two.
Line 2, you're up. You on the air?
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Avril. This is the Rhythm Queen. How are you?
Oh,
Good evening, distinguished panel.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that it's a twofold thing there with going into the military, especially for folks in the African American community. A lot of people said it, and I think Avril alluded to that earlier, is that they see that as part of getting like a college degree or, just furthering their education.
Right.
It's sad that a lot of our brothers and sisters lost their lives in looking for weapons that weren't there. And that has not been addressed, and I don't think that it will ever be addressed for all of the veterans who lost their lives looking for weapons that weren't there. But I think still in this community, in the black community, I still think it's a positive vehicle for young people to get involved in, especially the way things are going right now, where parents sometimes can't even afford to send their children to college without scholarships and things like that. You can agree or disagree. And I just wanted to say that, and also to honor the veteran who did serve in the Vietnam War. And there was a very key part of President Obama's jobs bill. He had to pass it in pieces. And one senator, Senator Jim DeMint, voted against that part of the bill. He is a Republican, and the Republican Party loves to say how much they are so pro-service or pro-military. And why did he vote against that particular part of President Obama's jobs bill the day before Veterans Day? That's a slap in the face.
Well, thank you very much for that call. And what we're going to do is we're going to have...
And thank you, panel.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Man, we
And you know
right.
what? Before we go any further, did you hear her name? The Rhythm Queen.
Okay.
So you know she really come with some rhythm tonight.
That's right.
So we
That's
may
right.
have Mr. Hendrickson. You want to
I
chime in on that,
I want to
please?
chime in on that. Like one of the things that I find that people are concerned about, what panel seems to be concerned about, is whether the military is a good thing or a bad thing. Now, it depends upon when you're talking about the military. During the times of war, you're talking about getting your education and whatnot, that's not going to happen because you're out on the battlefield staking your life against getting an education if you come back. So what you're doing here is you're gambling.
You're rolling the dice.
You're rolling the dice.
You're rolling
I'm
the
going to
dice.
join the military. They're fighting. I'm going to go fight. And if I get back, I'll get that education. And that if is very big in the kind of wars that we're fighting today. There are a lot of guys that have joined the military during times of peace. They've got structure. They've grown.
Yes.
They've learned. They've gotten their education. And they're idle citizens.
Yes.
Perfect citizens. But when you go into the military during the time of war, all the education stuff gets pushed to the back, and you become what? A fighter.
Yes.
And the only way you get all those things is that you survive that war. And if you don't survive that war, you're just out there.
Well,
Let me ask a question, Larry. When you said that you go to the army and you go there, and if you get an education, you're lucky, and and all that. It's called the war. It's called the army. When we leave home and go to the army, yes, we go to get a better education and everything else that comes with it. But isn't the army about fighting war? Don't we go there expecting that? We get, it's confusing to me because I would think that we went there to fight war.
Well, let me just
let me jump. I thought when you go to the army was about war.
Let me jump in here real quick. I think here in America, we don't have a draft. I mean, that came into play question before, should we have a draft, because they was not getting enough personnel joining the armed services. But each country, some countries have different laws, and some countries have laws that when you turn a certain age, you have to join the military. You have to join the military.
Like in England,
And I don't want to say it's just about war, but it's about being prepared to
for war.
defend your country.
Keyword defend.
Okay,
Defend
Keyword
your
defend.
country. And
Not to go
America,
and be a
like any
raider.
other country, have to be ready to defend their country. So when you go up and enlist to go in, when it's not wartime, let's say it's not wartime, you're rolling the dice, as we
rolling the
said,
dice, yes.
that you may not even have to go to war. You get the chance for your education, and then after you do your time, you can continue with your career in the armed services, or you could come out and go somewhere else. But if there happens to be a war, then you are in place, ready to go. And when you enlist, you know that there's a chance that you may be involved in a war.
I'm a firm believer of defending the country in the realm.
Yes.
But when you go in to fight a war that's not necessary because somebody wants to fatten their pockets, and they're going to put my life on the line because they want to get rich, and I'm not going to reap any of those benefits, no.
Is it about fattening their pockets?
Yes,
Let's talk about Iraq for a minute, because Brother Malachi opened up on WMDs, but let's deal with it for weapons of mass destruction. Let's go back a little history here, and I'll make this real quick. You got to realize that before the first Iraq war, that Saddam Hussein was our ally. He was an ally. He was an ally. What happened is that Kuwait was taken from Iraq. That was their country. Iraq went to get their country back, or that land back, and then the United States said, no, you can't do that. At the end of the day, because you know why? Because America had their hands in Kuwait getting the oil. So it's just like wrestling. You're allied today and you're enemy tomorrow. Those are the games that they play with our lives, and that's where, right there, I agree that and the United States is not the only country, but this is our country here, and those are the games that they play.
And
with
I want to see now to add on into the young lady who called. Fact of the matter, it's all right to join, okay? If the ideals and the principles that we are supposedly extolling are being practiced. You understand what I'm saying? It's okay to join if you want to go and defend what's your country if your country is taking care of you. See, I'm not with what John Kennedy said about ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your. It's a twofold game.
Thank you.
And see, now this is why you want to know why. If you want to know why recruitment is down, a lot of people become hit to the game that you can't go in the military and be all you can be. Why do you think they changed that slogan? It used to be all you can be until you found out the recruiter lying through their teeth to get you to join. Then at the same time, right? Then they changed it to you're an army of one. You can make a difference. No, we can't make a difference. That's why I call it excuse me. This is why the show is called What's on Your Mind, and the show title is Honor and Valor. There's no honor and valor, gentlemen and ladies, when we're being lied to and going to the military.
Well, we're going to have to just jump in here real quick. This is a live show. What's on your mind? You can call in. Call us at 718-960-7150. Come on, it doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you much. Give us a call at 718-960-7150.
First lady, you got something you want to say?
Oh, I'm just so taken and breathtaking because I'm wondering now, as my son, if he was to look at this now, he might say, Mommy, am I not supposed to join the army? But what can we say today? I mean, because I'm a little confused. He may not be able to go because the president said that the troops are coming home. Right. But I was a little confused about a week ago. We saw troops that were sent off. And some of the men, their words were, we'll be back next year in time for Thanksgiving. So I was looking for all the troops to be coming home at the end of the year. So I'm just lost to this. Are the troops coming home?
The troops are coming home, but they're always going to have a force in country.
Small contingency.
Small contingency to hold things together. They'll never actually take everybody out of there. Now, what you were talking about before about honor and valor, you know, I want you to think about this. You go over there, you're a black man. You go over there, you fight, you almost get killed, you lose an arm, and you come home and you try to go to a certain area to buy a home in this area, and they won't sell to you. Where's the honor and valor in that?
Okay.
This is America. I just went overseas. I fought in the country, had no relatives over there, no family, didn't belong over there. And I come back to my country, and I can't buy a house, so I want to buy this house. Because, why? Because I'm black. And that's still perpetrating today.
Yeah, and you said something earlier, Larry. You said something that touches me. You said that you do not think our black men and black women should be over in the war. Then who should be fighting the war? What are you
The
saying?
people that reap the benefits of the war.
Right. And who are
Their
those-
children. Come on, you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, because this is what's on your mind. So I'm asking you because I want to be sure. Because if you're saying that, I mean, for all who already went and served and did, some have gained, some have lost. It's just like today.
Like you said, rolling dice.
Yes, some lives are lost and some are back home saying, I'm great to be back home with my family.
But
And
what
if-
were they defending?
But may I say this before we go any
What
further?
were they
question?
defending?
And you raised an important question, Avril. So let me just say this here, that we here at What's on Your Mind, and most notably, since the question was directed at me first, Brother Malachi, I do not sit here and more or less say whether you should join or not, because I don't want to be guilty of sedition. But what I will say is this here, for anyone who may be considering a military career,
Go to college.
give careful consideration as to why you're joining, and be careful of not getting caught up in this, falsity of patriotism by those who start wars without giving you an explanation as to why you're going. It's just that simple.
Malachi, I got you. But my question again is, would you, and you just made it clear, if you're going, know why you're going, but,
Right.
When we sign certain documents, they give you, and everything you do now, they slip that paper in to say, are you registered to vote, and, are you 18 and over, that you have to register for selective service? Do we have a choice? And do you think that half of these men that are on the street today, if they had joined the army, maybe they would not be behind prison walls? Maybe there's a lot of young men who is out here and the ignorance says, I'm not going to the army, I'm not fighting war, I'm not doing this. Because like I said to you back in the days, God bless my brother who is still there right now, can tell you everything that he have gained in life came from serving in the army. And I look up to him today and respect him because of his accomplishment in life.
For how many years you say you served?
He served 20 and still there.
See, if you're not going in on that longevity in career, a military career, then, like I said, from a statistical standpoint, very few get the GI Bills and all the other little promises they make as benefits provided you survive. If we go into war, and you know what? I stand and approve my point. Let's look at the veterans from the Iraq War, Desert Storm 1 and Desert Storm 1. They're coming back here. Thousands upon thousands of soldiers have died from all the Agent Orange and God knows whatever chemicals. And you know what the country told them? Oh, that was pre-existing. It was pre-existing. Okay?
But Malachi,
Well, that answers you, but you put out a question, Avril, and it's a question basically where it's our opinion. But if our men on the streets would have went in the armed services, as you mentioned, maybe we wouldn't have as many criminals or lost souls. Especially when it's not wartime, and I think that it was an option, and I think that our young men have to weigh an option, and you got to realize that if you go to school and you do what you have to do, then you may be able to further your education or have more options. But if you go to school and you don't do what you have to do, or if you don't go to school, then your options are very limited. And if you want to get off the streets, then the military is an option for you.
Yeah, because why be, Malachi will say supposedly, but my thing, why stay on the street saying you have nothing to do? You're robbing, you're stealing, and you're saying all this, but there is an option.
Yes.
You could join, because half of the men that die on the street today from gunshot and all these negative, if they was in the army, they'll be using guns the same way. So now I'm a little confused as going to the war, is it that bad when you're still on the street, robbing, killing, and stealing, and your excuse is, I can't find a job, but you still die on the streets? So why not just
That's an
go to the
interesting
army
question.
and,
very good
why not go to the army? Our prison right now, they're telling you, is overcrowded. Imagine prison overcrowded.
Yes, it's over.
But the education system is not saying we are overcrowded.
That's right.
So why not encourage our young men to just get off the street and go and serve? Because it may make a difference. They may come back with a different attitude. When my brother left, he didn't leave with and say to me, I'll see you when I get back. My prayers were there. I was praying every day that he make it back, because we don't know who is coming back and who is not.
That's right.
Okay.
So this was just a chance that we take.
Right.
You understand?
Well,
So
Well, like, if there's a chance to be taken, I'd rather see a brother go to college.
well, yeah, but some don't want to go to college. They just want to be on the street.
But why?
Well, that's a choice.
You know what's scary? But
Why?
let me-
But why would you want them to go to college versus
Because I
going
think
in armed
I think they
services?
would get more out of going to college than what they can get out of
So
going to
when
the
they go to
military.
college, let's say if they get their degree, their 4-year degree, and they come out and there's no jobs, then what?
But at least you have the ability to get a job when those jobs do open up.
Well, let me just give you an example real quick. I have a degree in electrical engineering technology. I never worked a day in that field. Never.
Was that by choice or by design?
It was by design because there was no job.
I wouldn't think that would be by choice,
now
because
let
if
me
you
ask
went
you.
to school for that, you would want to do it.
That's
May I
right.
say something? But make your point, Mr. Aaron. Go ahead. Make
Now,
your
I'm just going to ask him.
Well, we got to tell our audience to take an option and to give us a call
Okay.
at 718-960-7150. 718-960-7150. Pick up that phone. Exercise that option.
They're calling, but we are just giving it out there because, see, tonight is about what's on our mind. You understand? And this is what it is. We heard from the young lady, and she just strike me, you know, when the rhythm queen called in, she just strike me to talk more because it's how we think tonight that matters. You understand what I'm saying? It's how we feel tonight that matters. Not to say we don't accept the calls, but I just want to hear it from my panel because we're here tonight and we have a veteran. And Larry, I didn't ask you how many years did you serve. I don't know if you said it and I missed it, but how many years did you serve?
4 years.
Okay, you served 4 years. And this is what I'm going to say right now. There's a lot of men and women that go in with, I'm just going in. Let me tell you something. I have heard that because me, myself, I wanted to join. But there's no way I would have get in there because I probably wouldn't even pass the training for the physical part. Because, you know, I'm just, oh my God, I got to do all this. That was my setback. But I have heard a lot of men and women who say, I'm just going in, do my 2-year, my 4-year, I'm coming back out. Because their intention was to go in and get a piece of the pie and come back out.
But do they come back out as better men and women?
The men, that's the question. That's a
Depends on
good
what happens to you
question.
when you're in there.
That's a good question. But okay, you know, let me ask you something. A man that served 18 and 20 and retired versus someone who just went in and said, I served 2 years and come out. But still looking for the same benefit as the person who dedicated his entire life to the U.S. Army. How do you think about that? Because I have asked men today, oh, I serve in the Army and there's nothing for me. I'm thinking about these men and women who are there right now, who have been there through all this, who is coming home to an economy that is worse off than when they left. Now, if we can't find jobs who are here today with our college degree, are we not praying for these men who's coming home all messed up?
Very easy answer. It's an investment. If you put 2 years in, you put in a very small, minute investment. If you put in 20 years, like my cousin who's in Milwaukee, who's still in the armed services, he's paying down on his house. He has a family. Him and his wife went back to school. That's an investment. 20 years versus 2 years is what you put in, is what you get out.
What you're saying is that being in the military can be a good investment for you as long as you are able to put in the time and come back. But